Hey, everybody, you are watching and listening to the We Are RIZIN podcast. This is your host, Andrew Benjamin. I'm joined by a returning guest today with us. We have Kazuma Kuramoto who will be taking on Kenji Kato at RIZIN Trigger the 2nd, February 23rd. You can watch the show with English commentary on live now. Kuramoto-san, thank you again for talking to us. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu.
Yoroshiku onegaishimasu.
My big question to you is, and I've been wanting to ask somebody who can compete in it. You did IRE, Mma Roll Ecstasy, and were successful in it. Tell me, what was that like doing combat jujitsu?
I'm sorry, I missed the first question.
About the IRE, Mma Roll Ecstasy.
Oh, yeah.
And like, what was it like doing that?
IRE やったじゃないですか。今なりロールファンエクスタシーですか。あれ、ああいったちょっと打撃ありの、小手ありの、グラップリングっていう違ったルールの試合やってみてどうでしたか？
試合も久しぶりの試合だったので、良かったです。しかも KG だったので、いい感触でした。
Well, I mean, it's been a while I fought, right? Because I only fought once last year. So it was good that I was able to compete. And also it was in the cage, so it was a good experience. On top of that, as you can see from the results, I was able to test this open palm strike. So everything went good.
Do you see yourself using open palm strikes, potentially MMA in your career?
どうですかね？ MMA の試合でも小手は使えそうですかね？
そうですね。ライジンは小手 OK だと思うんで、小手はグローブより硬いですね。使えます。
Well, in RIZIN rules, I think I can use open palm strikes. As you could see, that this part of the fist is much harder than this part of the fist. I mean, I couldn't show, this is a palm, not the fist, but so it's much harder part. So I think, yes, you could use this in the MMA fights.
Gotcha. Well, let's talk about RIZIN. Your fight coming up against Kenji Kato. Curious to know, have you ever seen Kato fight before? And if so, what do you think of him as a fighter?
加藤選手と試合ということで、加藤選手の試合を見たことありますかというのと、その加藤選手の印象はどんな感じですか？
はい、加藤選手はやっぱり打撃のストライカーっていうイメージですね。
Well, my impression of Kato is he's actually a striker.
And what do you think about his striking? Do you think is this some guy that you see yourself standing up with, or do you see this as a guy you gotta take down because he's a very wild and furious type of striker?
どうですか？じゃあ打撃系といってもどういったタイプの打撃の系だと思いますか？こう慎重に来るタイプとかテクニック系だとか、例えばすごくワイルドだから踏んづかまえて倒さなくちゃいけないだとか、どういった感じの印象ですかね？
まずすごく印象的なのが、すごくスイッチをする選手で、オーソドックスなのかサウスポーなのか、もうどっちもスイッチ何回もする選手で、どっちで来るのかちょっとわからないっていうのが第一印象ですね。
My first impression of his striking is that he switches his stances all the time. He could be orthodox, he could be the southpaw the next minute. So I don't know which stance he's going to fight is what I'm thinking. That would be my first impression of his striking.
This will also be your first RIZIN fight in a cage. I know you mentioned IRE, that was in a cage. I think also when you've fought before in Shuto, that's in a cage as well. So I'm curious to know, do you have a preference, ring or cage?
今度のトリガーはケージでして、今までほら IRE もケージだったし、シュートもケージだったじゃないですか。自分の中でリングとケージどっちがいいですか？で、その理由は？
別にどっちでもいいんですけど、ちょっとリングはやっぱりテンションが上がりますね。
なんで？
なんかやっぱりこう、ケージです。すみません。やっぱりこう囲まれてて、やっぱりずっとシュートでも UFC でも見てきてたものがケージだったので、やっぱりその中で2人だけで戦うのがすごいテンションが上がります。
Well, actually, I don't really mind ring or cage. It doesn't matter to me. However, if you ask me which one excites me more, and then it would have to be cage because I've been watching UFCs and Shootos, and in fact, the two guys gets locked into that, cage, the whole feeling to it. I'm getting very excited about it. So if I have to answer your question, which one I prefer, yes, I do prefer cage because I just get excited.
And just a little branching off that question. Your background is wrestler, Greco-Roman wrestler. I'm curious to know what, as a wrestler, do you find the cage or the ring to be easier for when you need to wrestle in a match?
Well, グレコローマンの、バックグラウンドがあるんですけども、じゃあそのテクニックで考えたときに、もう試合の普通の技術ということを考えたときに、グレコローマンの技術を使ったりだとか、そういう観点で見たときには、リングとケージってどっちがいいですかね。
リングは相手がロープに持たれても、クラッチを簡単に組めるっていうのはあるんですけど、リングは押し込むと落ちちゃうんで、やっぱケージはグラウンド状態で押し込んでそのまま殴り続けれるんで、ケージはちょっと抜けちゃうじゃないですか。
リングはね。
すいません、リングは外に落ちちゃうんで、やっぱそこはケージがしっかり壁使って戦えるっていうのはいいところではありますね。
Well, I mean, as a Greco-Roman's point of view, when you try to grapple, right, to try to get your clutch going on your both hands, in ring, when you're pushing a guy against the ropes, you could still try to get that clutch going behind his back. But on the cage, you can't do that, right? That's going to be very difficult. However, in cage, on the ground, I could still push that opponents against the cage and strike. But in the ring, you can't do that because the guy's going to fall off between the ropes. So it would not be continued that way. So I like striking on the ground, on the top. So in that sense, I think cage would be better.
And so with this fight against Kenji Kato, how do you see this fight going in your favor?
じゃあこの加藤戦っていうのはどういった感じで自分にとって倉本選手にとってどこが優れているからこういった展開になったら自分にいいんじゃないかみたいなのあります？
もう加藤選手はあからさまに明らかに打撃の選手で寝技が今までの試合見てると得意ではない苦手なので、やっぱりそこは自分の一番得意はやっぱり組んで相手を倒してパウンドっていうのが一番得意なんですけど、それを一番やりやすい。
Well, I mean, Kato to me, he's the obvious striker, and on the other side of the coin, I don't think he's that good or he feels comfortable fighting on the ground. So it's obviously he would have to probably try to strike with me. But my preference is obviously get this guy on the ground and do the ground and pound. So if I can get to that type of a fight, then I should be doing okay.
And this fight goes in your favor, you win it. Do you have anybody in mind that you potentially would like to face next?
で、この試合もしも勝ったら、次に誰とやりたいとか、どういうことをやりたいとか、なんかそういった希望はありますか？
誰とやりたいっていうのはまだ全然考えてなかったんですけど、やっぱり前回負けてしまってるんで、ライジンで勝ち上がってベルト取るには、全員倒していかなきゃいけないと思ってます。
Well, I don't really have a specific fighter in mind in terms of who I want to fight next. However, I lost the last fight, obviously. So in order for me to try to get to the RIZIN Bantamweight belt, I have to beat everybody to get. So I'm just willing to fight anyone to try to climb up that ladder.
And actually, I wanted to ask about your last fight. It was a loss to Yamaniha, but that was back in June. I'm curious to know that between that time and this fight, I know you did IRE, but I'm curious to know the long layoff. Was that an injury or was that just want to get prepared for your next fight? Is there anything you can just talk about that layoff?
山根原選手との試合が6月で、その後 IRE までずっと試合が空いてますけども、基本的にはこれはなんで試合が空いたんですかねっていう質問なんですけど。
はい。ちょっと最初のうちは怪我 IRE 前回、ライジン 山ニハ戦前からしてる怪我もあったので、ちょっとしばらくできなかったっていうのと、あとは試合が、相手が見つからなかったっていう感じですかね。
Yeah, actually, I was a little injured before that Yamania fight too. So after that fight, I had to heal that injury. So it was the injury I sustained from the Yamania fight as well. And after that, yes, I was trying to get fights in, other RIZIN shows, but just timing wasn't right. They couldn't find the opponent, that type of stuff. So it just didn't work. So that's the reason I didn't fight for a long period of time.
Gotcha. I totally understand. And right now, I don't think I can't remember if I asked you this the first time we talked, but I'm pretty sure I didn't because I would have remembered that. I know you don't have an MMA nickname right now. What name would you like to have as an MMA nickname if you could grant yourself one?
まあ、今一応 MMA の選手としてのニックネームっていうのはオフィシャルなものがないんですけども、倉本選手は。自分がニックネームつけるとなったら何か考えてることあります？
いや、ちょっとライジンでは投げれてないんですけど、まあ一応シュート時代に投げてたので、闘神っていうニックネームがついてるんで、英語ではスープレックスマシンですか。
はいはい。
Suplex.
Well, in RIZIN, I was able to execute the suplex yet, but in Shuto, they call me, like a suplex, god of suplex type of stuff. So in English, I guess I would call it as a suplex machine.
And yeah, speaking of suplexes, also I always ask you this: well, how many suplexes do you predict for this fight?
じゃあ逆にこの加藤戦はスープレックス何発ぐらい出せそうですかね？
今回は確実に出しますよ。
あ
まず一発で仕留めれるぐらいの強烈なスープレックスを出します。
Well, I can tell you this right now, officially. I will promise you, you'll see the suplex for sure in this upcoming fight. And the first suplex I'm going to execute, I'm going to do it so hard that I think I'm going to try to knock this guy with the one suplex.
Really? Okay. Gotcha. Actually, curious to know, as a wrestler, what is your favorite type of suplex? I know there's different types. There's the German. I know that there's also different types of suplexes from the front. But do you have a favorite type of suplex that you?
レギュラーとしてスープレックスというとジャーマンだとかフロントとかいろんなスープレックスがあるんですけども、一番やっぱり好きなスープレックスって何なんですか？自分の得意なスープレックスって。
いや、まあ一番効くのはやっぱり頭から落とすことなので、まあちょっとジャーマンに似たような感じになるんですけど、まあちょっとこれは僕のも秘密で、すごいのを持っています。
Well, you have to hurt the opponent, so you have to let the guy's head land on the mat first, right? So in that sense, of course, the German suplex is the most effective. However, I have this secret suplex that I'm not going to reveal here, but that's going to be more devastating to the opponent. So please look forward to it on this upcoming fight.
Oh, you heard that. A new secret super suplex we're going to be potentially seeing for RIZIN Trigger. Kuramoto-san, before you go, I want to give you any last plug your sponsors, your SNS if you want to, as well as if you have any comments about to your opponent, about your fight. The floor is yours.
じゃあこれで最後なんですけども、なんかファンにのメッセージとか、なんかスポンサーのメッセージがありましたらお願いします。
いつも応援ありがとうございます。今回のRIZINは本当に自分にとって大事な試合となるんで、絶対に迫力のある試合で絶対に勝ちます。応援よろしくお願いします。
Well, to the both sponsors and fans, thank you very much for supporting me all the time. This upcoming fight in RIZIN is very important for me, obviously. I have to win this one, but not just to win it, but also I'm going to put up a very exciting, impactful of fights and win this fight. So please look forward to it and keep supporting me. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to see Kuramoto-san fight and use his super secret suplex finishing maneuver for this fight, you can see RIZIN Trigger 2nd, February 23rd on Live Now, and it'll be live with English commentary. And thank you so much, Kuramoto-san. We're really looking forward to your fight. I'm looking forward to seeing all these suplexes during this match. And yeah, Ganbare des.
じゃあおしまいです。はい。